Yo, what's up guys? This is Midnight Wabbit, and welcome back to some more Outriders. And if you guys are looking for a way to make your Pyromancer look as gorgeous and sexy as mine, and also do a ton of damage and debuff enemies so your teammates can do a ton of damage, then this is the perfect video for you. So let's get right into it. We are running 3-piece Akari. There's a bunch of blues I need to get rid of. We are running 3-piece Akari for this build. This is kind of the backbone of the build, and we'll get into that when we talk about the armor, but just know that is something you're going to want to look out for. Heat Wave is pretty much mandatory for the build just because of a certain mod. This allows us to debuff enemies. The other two skills are actually very interchangeable. They're actually... So there's a lot of stuff you can use for these other two skills, but for Heat Wave, we get 3 charges of this, and this helps us for crowd control, igniting enemies, and also to apply debuffs. And we'll get to that when we talk about the armor. Now, Overheat can be exchanged for pretty much a couple other skills, actually. Let's see. So I actually haven't messed around much with Phaser Beam, but I know it is a viable option. It actually benefits from 150% of your status power for the damage. It inflicts burn and it does interrupt. And it does a good amount of base damage, but it benefits from 150% of your status power. So if you have status power on every piece of armor, this could be very viable. Now, Eruption is a lot of fun, I will say that. I was using Eruption for a while until I got a certain chest piece that allows me to use Overheat to reduce the cooldown of it. Because you see, the Overheat cooldown is like 5 seconds with my chest piece that I have. Like, that's insane. Overheat's going to be your main damage dealing source with this build, unless you want to use Eruption or Phaser Beam or something, depending on what perks and mods you have and passes on your armor. So it doesn't do much damage, you can see, but if they're inflicted with burn, it will do massive damage and consume the burn. And this thing has a very short cooldown, so you can actually spam this. You can spam this ability. This ability, since it's an interrupt, will actually stun enemies if they're rushing you, and it will block their abilities if because it's an interrupt as well. So you can use it even without a burn, just to stun like rushing melee enemies, as you saw right there in the clip. The other thing we're using right now is Thermal Bomb. This is interchangeable as well. There's 2 tier 3 mods I want that will change the way I use this build, and will change a couple of the other mods I have on. One of them is called Branded, and so we'll talk about the mods. That's from the Reforged chest piece, but I'll talk about that and the other mod actually when we talk about the armor. So let's go into the class tree first. Try to do this quickly. I don't want to waste too much time in this video, but so you get an additional 10% anomaly power as a Pyromancer, which is nice. And anytime you damage an enemy with one of your skills, for 15 seconds, if you kill an enemy, you will get 24% of your max health back. I know it says 36, but that is because of this node that gives you an additional 12%. And that is for survivability, because we're pretty much going full Anomaly Glass Cannon. There really is no survivability in this. Some people like to go here and then go up through Middle Tree. It really depends on I guess it honestly depends on what you're using. If you were using Phaser Beam or something, it could be worth it to go up through Middle Tree. But as of right now, we're using some explosive skills and whatnot, so increase our anomaly power, blah, blah, blah. Reduce cooldown of explosive skills. I opted for this over the damage to marked enemies because it's only 8%, and I feel like the cooldown will allow us to spam more abilities and ultimately do more damage overall. More anomaly power, weapon damage, and anomaly power. Wildfire is a good pickup because it decreases cooldowns by 10%. You want to get your cooldowns as low as possible. You're looking for a cooldown reduction and anomaly power on pretty much all your gear if possible. But I mean, on a lot of the Akari pieces, you can't get all of that together. But you would definitely at least want anomaly power. And cooldown reduction is the second most important, I would say. Damage against marked enemies. More anomaly power. Extinction's nice because if enemies are below 30% health, they will take 20% increased damage. Which means your burn, like here, which does 20% more damage already from this node, will actually do even more damage against a low health enemy and usually finish them off. If they're still burning, a lot of times you can finish them off with that, which is nice. More anomaly power. With fire and anomaly, activating explosive skills increases your anomaly power by 12%. So if you cast your thermal bomb or whatever, you can increase the damage of your overheat or eruption or even your phaser beam. Or if you cast one of those abilities, you can increase the damage of your other abilities as well. And since it lasts for 10 seconds and our overheat's only 5 seconds, you can actually get another overheat off with the bonus damage, reset the cooldown, and just keep doing that over and over again. So that's pretty nice. More skill leech, just a little bit of survivability when we're doing damage with abilities. Anomaly power. And the Phoenix Nestling is nice. It's just kind of like a get out of jail free card, I would say. So upon losing all health, you will receive a second chance to return to the battlefield with 50% of your max health. It can revive you every 180 seconds. That's 3 minutes. There's a pretty long cooldown on that, but it's like if you're doing an expedition and you just kind of slip up, and you get a careless death. If you're playing solo or something like that, this will bail you out. You can actually go even a step further if you want to take a point out of somewhere else and put it into Phoenix. It'll revive you with 100% of your max health. So all of your health will come back, and the cooldown is reduced to 135 seconds, which is just over 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that. Resistance piercing is nice. We already talked about this one. Just a little bit more max health on kills, and flames that burn twice is pretty much, even if that was one of like the offshoot nodes, and it wasn't a mandatory to move down the tree, I would still pick it up because 10% flat damage against elites, you can't pass that up. If you're having trouble with anything in this game, with any build, it's not going to be the trash mobs, it's going to be the elites. So having just a flat 10% increase in damage against them is going to help you tremendously. Skill damage here, and then explosive skill cooldown, and then we got Grave Ablaze, which increases the explosive skill's base damage by 30%. That includes thermal bomb, eruption, and overheat, which, like I said, are all interchangeable in different ways for this build. You could actually take the point out of this and put it into something like this, where the burn lasts longer, or enemies afflicted with burn take 5% more damage. I mean, there's a couple options. That's all weapon damage stuff, but you could put that into Phoenix Nestling if you wanted to, or to the Phoenix perk. I mean, increase your resistance. I mean, there's a couple other options you can do with that. But so yeah, let's talk about the armor, and then I'll go into what the interchangeable, what things I would change if I got certain mods. There's 2 mods I want that will actually change what I use for this build in terms of skills, or in terms of mods as well. So let's talk about the Akari. So ideally for the Akari, of the 3-piece set, you want the best pieces you want are the helmet, the chest piece, and the pants. The gloves and the boots roll with max health instead of Anomaly power, so it's going to kind of reduce your overall damage a little bit versus having the 3 pieces that I have, but it's better than not having. So let's say you didn't have the chest piece, you could throw on a random purple chest piece that has Anomaly power on it, and then use the gloves if you had them. That does have max health. I prefer, like I said, if you have the option and you have access to these 3 pieces, these are the only 3 that have Anomaly power. The other 2 have max health. So I like using purples with Anomaly power for my boots and gloves. I find that just gives me overall more Anomaly power. But like I said, you use whatever you have at your disposal. So let's talk about the armor perk. So the tier 3 perk Fire Tsunami I kept on the helmet. This is the intrinsic perk on the helmet. Increases the width of the firewall, so you can see there's a little bit of extra flame on both sides, a little bit like extra fire on each side. It's a little bit wider than normal, and that just allows you to hit more enemies and get that bonus. I don't know if I talked about the bonus yet, but every enemy damaged by heat wave grants 50% anomaly power bonus for 10 seconds. So let's say I cast my heat wave and I damage 6 enemies. Each enemy is going to give me 50%. That's 300% bonus damage. Bonus anomaly power, I mean, which basically translates into damage. So that's really good. And let's say and since I have 3 heat waves and there's like a wide group of mobs, I could cast one there, cast one there, cast one there, have like a bunch of enemies damaged by it, get a bunch of anomaly power. And if the boss is weakened, since the other perk on here that I threw on is Burnt Out, which is a tier 1 mod, so most people will probably have it by this point. Damaged enemies take 25% more damage for 8 seconds. This is really good for elites and stuff. 25%, it actually stacks. So since I have 3 heat waves, cast one, like let's say cast that on an elite. If I cast all 3 on an elite, that's going to be 75% bonus damage, and then I can just overheat, boom. Consumes the burn, does massive damage to them. So yeah, that's the helmet. I didn't start using overheat till I got the chest piece because of the detonator perk, which decreases overheat's cooldown by 50%. This is why my overheat's on like a 5-second cooldown. Very fast. This is why I can use it. I can just spam it, and I don't might have to worry about it. I was using eruption, which is a lot of fun, but it does have a very long cooldown compared to the overheat. So eruption is definitely a very good option as well. That you can actually run 2 eruptions and just do massive damage to it, like elites. There's a couple other mods that can make it pretty good as well. And there's 2 mods that are tier 1 that give you an extra charge of heat wave, tidal wave and ride the wave. So I'm running both of those. Since they're different mods, they're not the same mod, you don't get that red around it, which means that they stack, which means I get 3 heat waves instead of just 2. And then, yeah, so that's that. Then the pants, they come with Anomaly Echo on them. Kept that on there. The 3200 firepower, it's honestly not that much for like level 50. And for tier 15, it's not that much firepower, so I wouldn't really worry about it. I mean, it's not really worth, even if you are using a firepower build, it's not worth using that I don't know what the point of that even is, but the 11,000 anomaly power is a lot on skill activation for 15 seconds. If you go more than 15 seconds without activating a skill, you're not using this build correctly. You're doing something wrong. This build is all about ability spam. So if you go more than 15 seconds without activating a skill, something's not right. So you should always have this buff up. And then I threw on Captain Hunter, which is, I believe, from the Cannonball Gauntlets. This increases your damage against elites by flat 25%. So that's just, like I said earlier, anything you're going to have trouble with is most likely going to be elites. So this will be a lot of help. 25% is quite a bit of damage. And then for the boots and gauntlets, like I said, I prefer using purples with anomaly power and cooldown reduction. So we got Ride the Wave on here. We also have bullet kindling, which they dropped, which I saw was I feel like I'm having a stroke, which I thought was nice. Couldn't talk there for a second. Dealing 20% more damage against enemies afflicted by burn, which is really nice because your heat wave is just going to be constantly applying burn to enemies. So you just pretty much everything, it's just a flat 20% damage against anyone you're in combat with. Power Assimilation, it's a tier 3 mod, and I don't remember what it drops on. I think it is a Pyromancer armor piece, but I don't remember what it drops on. I want to say it's like a pair of boots or something, but I can't remember where I got it from. But anyway, boost your anomaly power by 11,000 for each elite present on the battlefield. So let's say you're doing like Frontline or like Chem Plant, something with a ton of captains or elites on the field at one time. This is going to be huge. This is going to give you a ton of anomaly power. And then Emergency Stance is still bugged, if you guys don't know. After you get the Golem effect the first time, it just stays on your character. Even if the visual effect goes away, you still have the Golem resistance until you die, pretty much. So that's kind of funny. Once they fix that, I might swap that out for mitigation from death or something like that. But regardless, talk about the mods. I say mods. Oh god, I'm tired. Let's talk about the weapons, and then the mods on the weapons, obviously. So the Juggler is a nice weapon you can buy from Tiago. The Scrap Grenade basically turns the first shot into a grenade launcher that deals anomaly damage, and it scales with anomaly damage, dealing 226,000 base damage, but that'll scale with your anomaly power. Funeral Pyre is a really good shotgun to have because of the Shadow Comet mod. Now, I only have one Funeral Pyre, and I don't want to dismantle it, so I don't have the mod in my collections, but if I did, I would run 2 weapons with Shadow Comet, because what that does is it allows you to negate that 3-second cooldown. You can fire Shadow Comet, swap to the other weapon that has Shadow Comet, shoot that. So by the time you swap back, the cooldown will be done on this weapon. The cooldown is per weapon, I believe. So that's pretty cool. So I don't have an additional Funeral Pyre, otherwise I would dismantle that and get the mod and put that on my other weapon, but I don't have that right now. So I'm just using this. Fortress is a very, very good perk for most builds, but it's even better for the anomaly builds because there's not a lot of there's not a lot of perks on your weapons that'll actually buff anomaly damage, and Fortress does that. It receives up to 43% damage bonus, which at level 50, your inherent 50k armor is enough to trigger the full 43% damage bonus without having to have any additional armor. So as long as all your armor is level 50, you should get that bonus. And that comes on a shotgun known as the Death Shield. It is a narrow variant auto shotgun. It's a legendary, so keep an eye out for that. The Death Shield, I don't have one on here. I'd have another one, but it's on another character right now. So I did dismantle the one I got on this character for the mod, and I put that on all of my weapons, even the pistol, and I'll get to that in a second. But the Fortress, just as long as you're holding that weapon, you deal 43% bonus ability damage as well, which is really great. And that applies to the Shadow Comet, that applies to any damage you're dealing. The other weapon I'm using, like I said, is the Juggler, and this you can buy from Tiago. It'd be better, I'd rather have the 2 Shadow Comets, but I don't have access to that right now, so Scrap Grenade's a pretty good mod as well. The only downside is you do have to make sure you keep the gun reloaded after every engagement, otherwise you won't be able to get the Scrap Grenade to proc. And on the pistol, I don't ever really use the pistol, but if you do use the pistol, you'll notice that you can actually cast your Heat Wave faster while holding the pistol. As you can see there, it's not exactly super consistent, but I just have Fortress on there because it's like, I might as well. The other perk's not really that good that it comes with on this pistol. So it doesn't really matter what pistol you run, but if you have the Fortress perk, I'd put it on there just in case you need to get some quick heat waves on an elite or something like that. And, that's what I forgot to talk about, the additional 2 perks. There's 2 other perks that I'm looking for that are both tier 3 mods that I need to make this build a little bit better. That's why I've been holding off on making this video, but the build is honestly so decent. It's so good right now that I just don't really, I don't need those perks, but I do still want to get them. I'm going to make an updated video once I get either of those perks, because that'll completely change the way I play the build. One of them is called Branded, and that affects thermal bomb. So any enemy damaged by thermal bomb will, not the explosion, but any enemy damaged by the thermal bomb itself will be weakened, and it will take, not weakened, but they take 40% bonus damage, I think for like 8 seconds. That will stack. So if you have the mod, the tier 1 mod that gives you 2 thermal bombs, which I will put on if I get that other mod, you will get 80% damage on that enemy, plus the 75% from your 3 heat waves. That is a lot of damage on one enemy. You cast an overheat or an eruption on them, or even a phaser beam after that. Most things are not going to survive that much damage. The other mod, I don't know what it's called, but that mod, the branded one, comes on, I think, the reforged chest piece, I want to say. I could be wrong about that. And then the other mod, I don't know what it comes on. I know it is some sort of Pyromancer armor mod, obviously, but it affects overheat. So basically, overheat consumes not just burn, it consumes burn and ash, and it can consume both at the same time. It'll consume either, but also if it consumes both at the same time, it does 150% bonus damage. So if I got that mod, I would swap out Thermal Bomb for Ash Blast. What I would do is I would weaken the enemies with Heat Wave, pop Ash Blast to make sure they're ashed and burning, and then I would use Overheat to get the 150% bonus damage, and that is a very good combo as well. So I don't have either of those mods, but that would make this build a lot stronger. But other than that, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of gameplay here real quick. We'll hop into a beginning of an expedition, and I'll show you guys just like what you want to do, like how to play it and everything. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, here we go at the beginning of Coliseum. I know I've I'm hoping I've covered everything. If you guys have any questions about the build or something I didn't really make clear, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below. I'm just trying to make this video as short as possible. It's already pretty long. It's gonna be like a 20-minute video. But if you guys did make it to the end, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe if you've not already for more Outriders content. And let me know what kind of build you guys want to see next. What character and what style of build you guys want to see next. You see the overheat there absolutely decimates them. Even this alpha got most of his health taken out. We can get the scrap grenade off there and just boop. And Thermal Bomb, as you can see, does quite a bit of damage just surrounding enemies. That's one thing I didn't cover, is the Thermal Bomb detonation when they blow up actually does more damage than your overheat, even if it consumes the burn. That Thermal Bomb detonation does a ton of damage. So let's say if I can get some enemies to come over here, let's get this. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can. Let's see. All right, there we go. Oh wait, no, never mind. Oh, there we go. So yeah, you can see right there, that did a lot of damage to the. So if you get like a weaker enemy next to like a boss or something, and you thermal bomb them, the boss will take a lot of damage from that, or even just if it's like a tanky elite or something like that, whatever, they will take quite a bit of damage from that. Another nice quick combo you can do once I get these charged, I'll show you, is a thermal bomb directly into an overheat. So I guess I could weaken these guys, and you can honestly just do it this way too. But if you say you cast your thermal bomb and then immediately use overheat on like a weak mob, that's a good way to just immediately proc the explosion without having to wait for them to burn out or anything, or to shoot them. But yeah, this build is great for team play. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when all the enemies that take bonus damage, that applies to your team as well. So like your heat wave and if you have the branded mod on your thermal bomb, all that bonus damage, the enemies take all that damage from all sources, including teammates, which means that you can stack that 80% and 75% damage on like a boss, and if you have a trickster or a technomancer on your team, that boss is not going to survive very long. I'm just going to say that right now. So we'll get to I'll show you guys up through the behemoth up here. We'll get to that, and then I'm probably going to end the video there. And like I said, if you guys have any requests for types of builds you want to see, like pretty much all my characters are CT15 except my Devastator. I got to level him up through the challenge tiers a little bit, but if you guys are interested in seeing, I'll probably be working on that once I get those mods for this character. And so definitely be on the lookout for more videos for more Outriders videos from me in the future. And I'm just kind of not sure what build I want to work on next. So if you guys have any suggestions for that, definitely let me know. All those alphas just died from that overheat, dude. Oof. That is the biggest of it. There's that Shadow Comet coming in. And your melee also benefits from Anomaly power. I don't know if I mentioned that, because your melee is technically a skill. So your melee, if enemies are weak, you will be able to finish them off with a melee with this build, because of just how much Anomaly power you have. I'm going to try and see if I can get some bonus Anomaly power from hitting these guys Let's see if I can. Okay, see how much damage this does to the behemoth. See, that did a good. That did over 2 million damage right there. That did a good chunk. Okay, get that to proc, and he's dead. Boom. All right. So anyway, that's it for the video. Hopefully I covered everything. If not, and you have any questions, leave them in the comments section, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.